All right. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Rebecca Thomas, and I am the founder of Not Another Diet. It's a 9-week cohort-based program that teaches permanent weight loss. And every once in a while, I like to have a conversation with a person, with a member. I guess they're a current member still, but they went through the 9-week program, and have a little chat about their experience and how they're using the information and what it's meant to their life and whatever they want to tell me. Basically, this is not a scripted talk. So I'd like to introduce Crystal. And Crystal, I'd love for you to just talk about where you're from, how you found me, and then we'll get the thing that everyone wants to know out of the way right in the beginning is how much weight you've lost. So take it away.
For sure. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for inviting me to do this. I live in Canada in a fairly remote northern community, the province of Saskatchewan. And I found you, Rebecca, when I was reading articles on Medium, and I came across one of your articles and it resonated with me. I thought, okay, here's someone whose process I can get behind, because so much of what you said, I had kind of already come to those conclusions myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you felt like what my writing was, it was tapping into your own sort of the wisdom that you were starting to cultivate for yourself, essentially, like that I was speaking to the parts of you that were sort of rising up and thinking like, wait a minute, this is what people are saying is not right. This isn't good. That's
exactly it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's been interesting as a side note, the people who I think have done the best through my program, and it's not, and I say there's no failure because I mean it. There is no failure. Learning is on a continuum, you know, and some people come to me a little further along in their own evolution. And some people come to me a little earlier in their evolution, but it's still an evolution. So I don't think there's any failure. But what I mean by that is that they're able to absorb the information and enact it very quickly. And that's probably due to the work that you did ahead of the program, right? Like that you were unknowingly searching for good information. I have to assume.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of the articles that you recommend in your program, I had already read.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like we were totally on the same wavelength. And,
yeah.
And that's really, I had come to the conclusion long before I would never go on another diet. And I wasn't really looking for a process, because all I know that's out there is just diets. And I knew that those had been put away forever for me.
Yeah.
So you brought new hope to me.
That's fantastic. Okay. I have this list of questions, but now I want to dive into what you just said. So we're going to go off track for a minute.
Okay.
I so love the idea that you had abandoned diets already. That was actually the start of my personal change as well, which was like, I don't know what's ever going to work. I have no idea, but I can't do this. This is terrible. So tell me about that. Tell me about how you came to the idea that you just couldn't diet anymore. And also if you're able to put in there, what was your dieting history? Like what injured you about doing these diets that you just had to say, no more?
Sure. I, like many women, started gaining weight in my late teens and all through my 20s, 30s, and I would diet for occasions, right? I lost a lot of weight in my 20s before I got married. And I lost weight again in my 30s. And when I was about 40 years old, I lost a lot of weight and I looked fantastic and I was exercising, and we went on a big holiday. We took our bicycles and went to Scotland.
Oh,
and we bicycled around Scotland, around the Outer Hebrides for 5 weeks. But I decided on the beginning of that holiday, I was going to eat and drink whatever I wanted to. And I did. And of course, I came home and just kept living like that. And the weight came back on. And of course, I've been told by dietitians, and it makes sense, whatever you do to lose weight, you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. And I knew that intellectually. but I had not internalized it. I hadn't understood it in my core until after that holiday and the years that followed. And I just said, forget it. If that's what it means, if it means never eating bread again, or never drinking alcohol again, or never having dessert again, no, I'm not putting those joyless rules on myself. So I just gave up, and I just got bigger and bigger. I'm 54 now. And when I think I knew, like I knew that there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way that I can take care of myself and be happy, and let it not be joyless. But I hadn't found it. And I guess I was looking, I read a lot of articles on fitness and exercise and nutrition. And I'm very much a science-based kind of person. I didn't want to jump into some crazy fad. But it seemed impossible. It seemed impossible. So I had just given up.
Yeah. Well, in some ways you might have protected yourself too during that time, because I think deprivation, I just recorded a little video on deprivation diets, and there's this amazing science coming out now that it actually changes your metabolic baseline. So depriving yourself means that for long term, you have a lower metabolic rate. And I want to know, so part of what I'm trying to teach through this experience is not doing that to yourself, like specifically not doing that to yourself, and using your hunger and the kinds of foods you're eating and your satiation and your ongoing dialogue with your body to never deprive yourself, so that your brain never goes into that mode of, oh no, oh no, or the mode that you went into when you went to Scotland, which is like, open those floodgates back up, right? Where I said no so many times that now the feedback is on. And what we're trying to avoid is never having those swings at all. Is that how, like, tell me if, obviously that resonates to some degree because that's where we are, but like, tell me about how you've settled into that, how you've taken that information in, and what that means to you.
Yeah, the difference is between a diet and what we do going through this program is a diet is about sacrifice, and this program is about self-care. So I had already come to the point where I'm worth taking care of. I'm worth not sacrificing my whole life to look a certain way. I'm worth just enjoying. I'm worth giving myself allowing myself to enjoy life. And that's what I want. At this point, at age 54, I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to fit into a box. I don't want to look a certain way. I just want to be happy, enjoy the people I'm around, and be as healthy as I can be as long as I'm here to make life more enjoyable.
Crystal, I might just start crying. Seriously. Like, so I take the idea of enjoying your life very seriously. As you know, I've had cancer twice, and I wouldn't say that informs my work in terms of like understanding diets, because not everybody coming in is going to have that sort of trauma, right? But I take it does inform my work in that I really want people to find peace. I want them to find peace on this issue. I want it to not torture you and yank you around for the rest of your life and take away the wrong information that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Do you feel this way now? Like,
I do feel this way now, Rebecca. I'm on holidays right now, and I left a couple of days ago. Before I left, a girlfriend phoned me, and she just said, have a good holiday. I just wanted to talk to you before you leave and tell you how nice it is to see you in this space where you're at peace and where you're just so joyful and things are going well, because whatever happens, whatever comes your way, you find the joy in it. And she can see, she's watched me go through this process the last 6 months, and she can see that this is not a sacrifice for me. It is making me happier, and it is making my life more filled with joy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, I say that when people come into the program that it's done this for my life, and it's really difficult. I know that's a stretch sometimes for people to believe. I don't know if it felt that way for you when I started talking about it, but it feels like a stretch, I think, to a lot of people to look at it and think, well, yeah, she's joyful because she lost the weight. No,
No,
nope.
no. This is not about the weight I've lost, and I have lost weight. I've lost 27 pounds.
Oh, that's right. We forgot to talk about how much weight you lost, which is such a metaphor for the program. Don't you think that, like, yes, it's a weight loss program. Yes, I care about that, but your weight is a byproduct. Your weight is literally a byproduct of all the other things that you're doing. And therefore it's not the craziest thing to focus in on joy, personal satisfaction, good self-talk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weight loss is a huge side benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, awesome. And in previous diets, I've had a goal, I've lost, 20, 25, 30, whatever it is, pounds. And then, yes, I've arrived at my destination, and I can put the diet away and carry on and bring joy back into my life. And so the difference here is I'm incorporating joy into my life. I'm living in a more joyful way. And a side benefit of that is, oh, wow, I'm also losing weight. I'm also connecting with friends on a different level, on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that a result, the connecting with friends on a deeper level, is that as a result of communicating your boundaries or communicating things that you need? Because part of the program, for those of you who are watching and don't know, is that I really teach that your weight is a product of your environment, and part of your constructed environment are your relationships. And when you have to start asking for what you need, first of all, you need to figure out what you need. You got to do the work, right? And I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about doing the work, is that, like, you got to go figure out what you actually need. And then you have to start talking to people about it. And I don't mean in a demanding way, like, you will provide this for me. I just mean in a, hey, this is how I'm conducting myself now. This is what these activities mean to me. And this is how you can be a part of my life that feels good, that feels good. And that's a vulnerable thing to do. It's an intimate thing to do. And it does draw people closer who are inclined to see you and help you. I don't know. Was that your experience?
Yeah, it's true. It is a very, very vulnerable thing to do, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And some people I haven't had that conversation with yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. And and that's hard. It's harder to be around them.
Yeah.
And the people I have had that conversation with and set my boundaries, they have just embraced that, because I have friends who love me and want me to be successful, and we inspire each other.
Yeah. And
so they allow themselves to be inspired by me. And when we are together, it doesn't revolve around eating or drinking, unless it's, what kind of awesome salad are we going to make for lunch today? We eat well, we enjoy our food, but we're not eating cake. And
that's not this enormous sacrifice that it's portrayed as, that so much of our culture revolves around food that's problematic. And when you step back for a second, past the weight loss ideas, past all of that, we're essentially really making life difficult on one another. Then people hate their bodies, and I don't want anybody to hate their body, by the way, whether you have weight or not. Like, I actually don't think that there is such a thing as good and bad bodies. I just don't think that's a thing. But there can be a body that feels better to you or worse to you, but that's a personal call, right? Like, so, you've got to decide that. But I do think that there's something really disordered and difficult about the fact that we've sort of constructed modern society to show love to one another in
Right.
ways that actually now you have to go home and figure out how to manage now.
Yes.
You know?
And I've said that for years, Rebecca.
Mm.
Why do we show love to each other why do we show love by giving someone a cinnamon bun that we made,
Yeah.
And I'm a gardener, and we have quite a bit of land where we garden on in the summer. So we have a big garden. We eat our vegetables, our carrots and potatoes all year round. We have enough to grow to last. And we give gifts when we go to someone's house as a hostess gift or whatever Easter present. We'll give a bag of carrots
Lovely.
or garlic,
Lovely.
a bag of garlic that we've grown. And my partner and I've often joked about at potlucks, we better bring vegetables just to make sure there's vegetables there, right? Because people have this idea that they got to make something really tasty. So it's got to have, potatoes and starch and gravy and sauce. And no, we have some fantastic vegetable recipes. And I think, man, if people ate vegetables like this, they would love eating vegetables. It is such a treat.
I agree. I eat I eat a ton of vegetables almost every day. I saw this meme on Facebook the other day where it was like something about all the produce I have to throw out every week because I don't eat it. And I thought, well, that's sad. I'm so sorry. Like maybe you don't have enough time in your schedule. Maybe you don't know what delicious food tastes like. I don't really know. But let's go back to the program and you for a second. So what do you think? There's the Crystal who came into the program, and then there's you now, and it clicked for you in this process. Things fell into place for you. Now, I don't mean to say that you didn't do the work, because you definitely did the work. You definitely went through the modules, you definitely did the exercises, and you took it in and you made it your own, which is an important part of this process. Did you feel like it was, I guess this is, I should have asked this off camera, depending on what your answer is, but did you but I want an honest answer, so I'm gonna ask it anyway. I'd love to hear what clicked for you. Why now? Why did it click? What happened in the program that clicked for you? And also, did you feel like the program was set up for you to discover yourself? Not for you to discover me. I share my story for you to then spark something inside of you that will make your own solution. Did you feel like that? That's the question. That's my wild card question. Did you feel like that happened?
100%. Yes. I as part of my job, I actually also do some training. And so I'm very interested in how people learn. And recently I've read a book, Make It Stick. And that's big in my sort of circle of trainers that support each other, is talking about this book and the techniques to help someone learn.
Writing it down.
Yes, you will love it. You're already doing it. Like,
really?
The bottom line is you're doing a lot of things in this book. Make It Stick, how we learn, the science behind learning.
Okay.
And you talk about spiral learning, and I see it as layered learning, but the same thing. Something's introduced. And before you have the chance to really fully explore it or really understand it, we go on to something new. Then we go back. And so it may seem a little chaotic to the student. And we were told as trainers, if you're doing this right, your evaluations are going to go down at the end of the training.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah, because people are going to think that you're kind of all over the place. But their results will be better. So if your purpose is for them to succeed, then that's the right way to do it.
So interesting.
Yeah.
That's good news. Okay, so what was it in the program? Talk to me about your experience going through the program, where you were in your life. You talked a little bit about having given up diets and having some. What it sounds to me was like you had some of the parts, but not a way to coalesce them, which I find is true for most of the people coming through. They've touched a little bit here, they've touched a little bit there, they've touched a little bit here, but they don't have, it's still, all that information is still disparate in their lives. They don't have a way to sort of thread the needle between all of those things.
Exactly. And so that's what your program did, is it tied everything together. it just made it make sense. And like with your layered approach, so I get thinking about something, so it's back in there, and then I'm thinking about something else, but this is still in the back of my head. I'm not aware of it. And so when we get back to it, then I've already internalized it and I've processed it. And now I can ask more questions about it, go on to something else, come back. And by the end of the program, yeah, it's internalized. I have heard it, so I knew it before, but now I understand it to my core, and I know how to implement it into my life.
Do you have some specific examples that you learned from the program? You don't have to give a full accounting by any means, but a few things that stick out for you.
So one very simple thing is the scale. And I've always been scared of it. And in my head, I decided that, okay, weighing myself is just a mistake, that I don't want to dwell on my weight, because that's not me, right? That's not that doesn't show how much I should be valued, you know. So I just, decades ago, I completely stopped weighing myself. And you, at the very beginning, you talked about the scale and you said, here's one that I recommend. I did go out and buy that one that you recommended because I didn't have one. But you said, don't use it yet. We're not ready to use it yet. So you planted the seed. You talked about it for a couple of weeks. And then you said, okay, in a week or two. So you got us ready for that. And so by the time my scale arrived from Amazon, I was ready to start using it because I understood. By then you had taught us how to use it as a tool, how to not use it as a judgment on myself.
That's right.
This is only a tool. And that has made so much sense to me. And that's one tool that has been super helpful and very easy for me to learn how to use that as a tool on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so not to be judgmental. And of course, tied in with that is to be curious. That's what you teach us, is to be curious. Okay, I'm interested. This is how I've been eating for the last couple of days. When I step on the scale today, how is that going to translate? Maybe it's the same, maybe it's up, maybe it's down. Either way, there's no judgment. It's just, okay, thinking back, what was my history? Is this showing a result of the last day, the last 2 days, the last week, maybe? Okay. So what do I need to do for the next day, 2 days, week to get it, where it should be?
Yeah, the scale is a powerful tool. And I bring it in very gingerly in the program because I know that people have traumatized themselves with the scale. They have bludgeoned themselves with the scale. They have literally just pulverized themselves. And so part of what I'm trying to teach is to remove your self-judgment from the number. It's actually not useful to attach a judgment to the number. And what you were doing previously was to just dismiss the whole thing because it felt like a judgment. But what I try to teach is like, well, how do we excavate that judgment so that you can bring a useful tool back into your life? Because, you probably, like me, are never going to sit around recording all your food in a day. My God, the idea of doing that would make me just, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't record my food. I don't even know why, like, the idea offends me. Which might be a little overstatement, but I do feel this way because I love food. I love to eat. I do think, but I love to honor food and to have reverence for food. I think it's more than just eating something. It's about culture. It's about how you value your life. It's about respecting the earth. It's about all kinds of different things. So tell me, okay, so you use the scale was a big one, and it wouldn't have worked for me to just say, go get on the scale. You needed to go through all those steps that we lay out in the program to remove the self-judgment, to understand fully what it is that I'm asking of you through that. So there's a lot of things to understand. What else sticks out from the program for you in terms of, this clicked, this makes total sense to me?
Well, continuing with the curiosity and non-judgmental sort of theme is just watching.
Yeah.
Oh, today I ate such and such. And I knew when I was eating it that I was kind of craving it, but I didn't really need it. And
Mhm.
oh, so what's happening with that? Am I just looking at it with an eye of curiosity instead of judgment?
Mhm.
Okay, well, how do I feel now? Do I feel like eating more, or did that satisfy my craving, or
Mhm.
how's my body responding to that?
Did you
And not
feel?
beating myself up, right? And just saying,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to do now?
That's
What am I
right.
going to do next? Am I going to keep doing this, or am I going to change something in my environment or in my life to not be putting myself in that situation? So this is huge. You had said, leave stuff sitting on the counter. Oh my gosh, Rebecca, I went to a friend's house. She makes pottery as a hobby. And
Mhm.
I said, I want something for food. Oh, she said, I've got some bowls. Nope. I said, I don't want bowls because stuff falls to the bottom of the bowl, and you got to dig through, like, that's too much work for me. i bought I bought 3 beautiful pottery plates. They sit on my counter. I dump in the package of grape tomatoes and the mini cucumbers and oranges and apples and whatever nuts, dates, whatever I think that I might need to snack on. I dump them on there. And when I walk through the kitchen, because it's just automatic, instead of opening the fridge door, I grab a cucumber or tomato off the plate. And I think, oh, it's such a beautiful display of food. It's lovely and gorgeous. And as I start emptying it, I see these beautiful pottery plates underneath. And that is such a tiny thing that brings me so much joy.
Absolutely. I do the same thing. So what Crystal's referring to in this dialogue is I have a whole module on how to set up your kitchen. And one of my overarching philosophies is I also respond to beauty like Crystal does, which I think all of us do actually. But what actually is happening there is a mechanism of putting things out on the counter you want to eat, things that you want to encourage yourself to have, and things that need no restriction at all. And that is, of course, real food. So let's talk about real food for a second. Were you a real food eater before, and then the weight came on through sort of slippery social boundaries or slippery boundaries around sugar? Like, talk to me about your basic diet, and then what changes you made to that through the program.
Yeah. Okay. So my partner and I both like cooking,
Mhm.
and we like cooking real food, and we like eating well.
Perfect.
As we're aging and our careers are flourishing, we're getting busier, and it's just so easy to start eating out once a week, twice a week,
Mhm.
and having a glass of wine with a nice meal. And if you're having a nice meal every night, that's a glass of wine every night. And I really, at the beginning of COVID, my drinking went up and up and up, and that was a problem.
You were not
Like,
alone.
no, like billions of us. So I really loved your approach of, because if someone had said to me, try this process, it's called Not Another Diet. What is it? And I asked, what does it involve? And I was told, well, by the time you're done, you're not going to be drinking alcohol anymore. I would have said, screw you. Like,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
So I loved your approach of saying, just set it down for a while and be curious and see what happens, see the reaction in your body. And I did. I set it down for a while. Then I had someone come visit, and I didn't want to talk to them about what I was going through. They weren't at that space and I wasn't at that space. And so, when they brought a bottle of wine out, I had a little bit, and that was fine. I didn't beat myself up about that because I haven't quit drinking.
That's
There's
right.
no rule about that.
That's right.
And I did set it down. One day we decided to have wine with meal, and I hadn't had a glass for probably 6 weeks. And I tasted it, and I thought, oh, I think that red wine needs to breathe a bit. So I left it, and we went on finishing getting ready. And then my partner came in, he took a drink, and he said, oh, that's good. And I thought, is it? So I took another drink, and it didn't taste any better to me. And I said to him, do you want this? I don't think I can drink this. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. He said, it just tastes like chemicals. And he said, Nothing is wrong with you. Your body has gotten rid of those toxins and is now used to eating so well that it's recognizing that this isn't something enjoyable or good for you.
Yep. And I'm so pleased to hear that, because the whole point of me creating awareness, it's a fine line, right? So what I'm trying to do is create awareness for you, but not set up a construct, just like you were talking about, where you have to rebel against it. Like, quit drinking, you have the Whole30 or whatever, and know this, know this, know this, know that. Like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. And just the very idea of jumping into something where there's big rules like that feels icky, and it doesn't allow for the kind of experimentation that you just so beautifully laid out. You actually need to go back and forth a little bit to understand what's going to be good for you. And there isn't another process that, sometimes participants want really strict rules going through this program, like do this and not that. Well, that doesn't exist for you, because your body and my body are not the same thing. And I need you to understand yourself. I need you to go deeper. I need you to listen to yourself and not judge yourself, and honor what your body is asking for, and honor yourself. And we're not cookie cutters, which is why I think another reason I dislike dieting. Like, I can't just fit into someone else's idea of what perfect weight loss looks like. That may or may not have any bearing on how I want to conduct myself or what my body actually needs, So I think what you laid out is just really great. And it's a nice way of, we're sort of ambling over all these different subjects, but the truth, and I think maybe you'll back me up on this, is that weight loss isn't one thing. It's actually not one thing. It's a variety of things done in concert with one another, in a way that honors yourself and respects your body. Does that sound right to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for the record, I haven't quit drinking.
Perfect.
I have found that I can still really enjoy a glass of wine, that it can complement the meal, and maybe every 2 weeks I might have a glass of wine.
Yeah, I think that that's just right. And you know what? I still have an ongoing dialogue. I'm a decade into this now, and the dialogue doesn't actually end. I'm still in a running dialogue with myself about what I need now. I turned 50. I didn't just turn 50, LOL. I turned 50 in 2021. But my body is changing, and learning how to have that dialogue is profoundly important, because whether you like it or not, your body changes under you, things change, your circumstances change, your time management changes. You have to you are an algorithm to yourself. You're constantly adjusting to a different energy, or if you have an illness for a while, or if you have an injury for a while, or if there's a disruption in your life, you've got to know what your baseline is and how to handle it. And so learning that curiosity that you're talking about is so important. It's so important. And to remove that bludgeon of judgment, which, if you look at it at that the way that we all deeply judge ourselves, and then the way society conducts itself so in such a disordered way, it's really, it's like a double injury when you think about it that way. Like, we set ourselves up, we're set up to essentially be overweight. I don't see any other way. And then we have this voice that is just killing us on the other end for having ended up this way.
Yeah.
Which neither really are useful or necessary. All right, I've got one or two more questions, and then I'm going to let you go on about your day, Crystal. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It personally means a lot to me. So how does this process feel more durable to you? One of the things that I'm trying to do is have a system by which you can keep, that belongs to you, that you own. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but does this feel more durable? And if so, how?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is lifelong for me. Because before, with a diet, I had an end goal of a certain amount of weight I wanted to be, or a size I wanted to fit into. And this is a completely different goal. This is just a life of self-care, and see what comes with that. So it's set up to be durable because it's lifelong. This is about maybe I said this already. This is about self-care, not about sacrifice. That's what makes it lifelong. That's what
Yeah.
makes it durable. That's what makes it doable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I couldn't have said it anything better. I don't have any more questions for you actually, because you're awesome and you basically hit all the points that I wanted to hit. So if there's anything else you'd like to share about your experience or whatever, feel free. This now is a good time. But I feel like you did awesome for me and
Thanks,
for
Rebecca.
anybody else who's considering the
Yeah.
program. Really what I mean for these conversations to be sort of like a little window into some experiences, so that people can sort of, like you did with my writing, you can adhere to it or not, right?
Yeah.
But is there anything else you would share about I don't know, the experience or whatever?
I think just one last thing.
Mhm.
Being in the program has boosted my confidence to take challenges and risks. So I took up paddleboarding at age 54. Honestly, I had so much fun this summer paddleboarding. And then my dog saw how much fun it was and she would just come and jump on. And so I was like, oh, really? And by the end of the summer, she and I were just booting around the lake like nobody's business. And so that has also brought a lot of joy, those kinds of things. And just feeling that I can move easier and get up and down and lift things easier. And then as course, as the weight comes off, it's easier to move my body and to
Mhm.
do more of that. And so it's like a snowball effect. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I've really appreciated about it.
Awesome. Oh, Crystal, I'm so pleased. I think, the way marketing talks about getting older as a woman is just horrifying.
Mhm.
How any of us keeps our head up and feels good about ourselves is really an act of defiance, and so it's really gratifying to me to hear that you're using your body in physical challenges, which, by the way, I think of first physical, like learning a new sport, as part of personal development, whatever that sport is. It doesn't even matter. To me, it's the same as any other self-help. If I went to therapy, if I went to, which, by the way, as you well know, I do all the things. But I'm really gratified to hear all of that. And that I've built something that makes a meaningful difference in someone's life is unbelievably gratifying. So,
and you have, Rebecca. And just the last thing is I wanted to thank you, because how vulnerable you must have been to put your whole story out on the internet and to say, you know what, I'm going to try and make a career of this, and I'm going to try to give this gift to other people that I have found for myself. And thank you so much for going out on a limb and doing it.
Thank you, Crystal. I will tell you, when I launched this program, I was so frightened. For the first 3 months, I barely slept, I was really frightened about doing it. And, to put your ideas out there, to have them be different, to ask people to slow down, to think differently. It was, and honestly, to sell a program that I wasn't even promising weight loss. I'm not even making big promises, I'm just asking you to embark on this journey with me. So it was pretty terrifying. And now I'm glad I did it. And of course, it seems to be working pretty well. And I'm really glad it happened. But you thank you for saying that, because it was in fact really terrifying.
I'm sure.
Anyhow, it was a total joy to speak to you, Crystal. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for making time to talk about your experience and to give me a little of your time. So
You're welcome.
thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.